If you're reliant on Facebook ads, Andromeda, the new meta algorithm, just exposed how vulnerable you really are. One algorithm update and your entire business tanks. Your ROAS goes down, your CPA goes up, and you're left scrambling trying to figure out what to do and what to change. Over the last 60 days since Andromeda has dropped, I've seen hundreds of comments across my videos asking one basic question. How do we fix this? And the first, most surefire answer is simple. You need to be running Google ads alongside your meta ads. So in this video, I'm going to break down why running Google ads is an absolute non-negotiable post Andromeda. This is the exact step-by-step approach that we take at the Moonlighters for the over 80 brands that we're working with today. So first things first, let me prove to you that this actually works. So in this ad account right here, we have January through today. So this is the entire year. We spent $44,000 in this ad account to drive $389,000 in conversion value at a ridiculous 8.77 return on ad spend. And what I want everyone to pay attention to is two lines. First, our cost line is flat. We have basically spent right around the same per month every single month, between $4,000 and $5,000 every month. But take a look at my conversion value. Every single month since the beginning of the year, and most acutely since the Andromeda update has come out, we have significantly increased the conversion value. We started this year at around $20,000 to $25,000 in conversion value. We are currently this month pacing for over $55,000. This month's not even over yet. On top of that, take a look at our conversion value divided by cost, also known as ROAS. This ROAS is ridiculous at 8.77, but it started the year at a 6.52. It actually dropped in the first 3 months of the year. And just as the Andromeda update came around at the end of this year, we floated all the way up to a 10.92, 10.76, 10.26, and this month, so far, not even over, 12.34. And here's another higher spending example. This account in April was spending $3,600. Every month, we slightly increase the spend, where in August, right when Andromeda releases, we're spending $15,000 to drive $68,000 in revenue. We saw a slight dip in September, and I want to just keep it always real with you guys, but then this has recovered nearly twofold in October, driving $20,000 in spend and $69,930 in revenue, and the month isn't even over. Now, none of this really matters unless our actual Shopify revenue goes up. The first business I showed you is up 39% in total sales, period over period, which is year over year. And you can see just the trend line, the dotted line being last year where sales declined all year long, and then this year where sales actually picked up at the halfway point of the year and continue to grow. And the second business I just showed you, from May to October 26th, which is literally today, is up 75% year over year, way above where they were last year and continuing to grow into the fourth quarter. Neither of these brands abandoned Meta. Neither of these brands shifted huge portions of cash from Facebook to Google. They kept running on the Facebook side, and they added or doubled down on their Google spend because it's where the efficiency was, and it actually completed the funnel. All this to be said, it is so important to have both. It's so important to have that safety net on both ends. If Google makes a huge update, you need to have Meta as a growth driver. And if Meta makes an update, just like they did with Andromeda, you need to have Google to be that safety net to continue to grow your business on this end. Ideally, both of these platforms work together to ultimately grow your business at the same time. We're going to start by creating a new campaign. We are going to choose our objective as a sales campaign, and we're going to make sure our purchase conversion goal is set with one action, and make sure that action is website conversions. And the first campaign that we're going to set up is going to be a search campaign. Then make sure you click website visits and enter in your website properly. Our campaign name here is going to be brand_search. This is going to be the protection of our branded terms, and this is going to be a very important factor in working with Meta, because we're actually going to make sure that people that are typing in our brand are being served our ads. Go ahead and click continue here. We are going to focus this on impression share, and we're going to take absolute top of results page. What this is going to do is put us in the first position on Google, so that when someone types in our name, we show up first. We want to bid there 95% of the time, and then our CPC limit, I like to start at $3 or even $2, but just note that if you're not getting impressions, then you have to crank this up from 3 to 4 to 5. For customer acquisition, we're bidding equally for new and existing customers. And then for our campaign settings, we're going to unselect Google Search Partners and Google Display Network. And then we're going to go down to locations, and we're only going to select, obviously, our locations that we are in. In this case, it's going to be the United States only. And we're going to click include presence, people in or regularly in included locations. Do not go with the recommendation. It's going to waste somewhere around 3% of your ad spend. We do not have EU political ads, so we can click no real easy. And then for our audience segments here, we actually don't technically need to put anything into our audience segments, but if you see this box here where it says observation recommended, all this is doing is allowing us to see who is bidding on our audiences. And to keep this really simple, what you can do is either go to your browse and then select a few detailed demographics or affinities and just knock off like 5 to 20 different things that apply to your business. For example, if you're Nike and you want to see people that may have an affinity with sportswear or people that have an affinity with running, those are things that you could actually track in interests and habits and then understand if those people convert better than other groups. So for now, just select a big group of observation audiences. It doesn't matter technically how many you select. I usually like to go close to the 5 to 20 range just because I could actually look and digest as opposed to putting in like 2,000 different observations. If we click on more settings, everything here is going to be left blank. Technically, you can put campaign URL options, which is going to be used for UTM tracking, but we don't need to right now. So what I like to do right now for my branded search campaigns is I like to introduce AI Max. And what this is going to do is two very key things. First, it's going to allow Google to literally change the text in the ad copy that I give it. If you don't like this, technically, you could just click text customization and turn it off. However, if you don't like this, I would recommend not running AI Max at all. For this case, we're going to turn on text customization and we're going to turn on final URL expansion. What final URL expansion is going to do is send traffic to the most relevant URLs. So for example, if I search Nike red Jordans, Nike is the branded term that's going to get hit, and then it's going to take me directly to the red Jordans page as opposed to just the home page. This is really, really, really helpful if you have a lot of collections and a lot of products and don't just want to send everyone to one page. The next big advantage of AI Max is that we could actually include a brand inclusion list. So your brand inclusion list is it's only going to show searches based on the list and your URL that matches your brand. So you can go ahead and add your brand list right in here, which I can just easily select. Moving down to the next piece, keyword and asset generation. I'm going to write all my own keywords. I'm going to write all of my own assets. We're just going to skip this part. And now for ad group number 1. The easiest thing to do when you're running a branded search campaign is use phrase match. You can use exact match, but do not use broad match for your brand terms. So to continue to use Nike as an example, what I would do here is I would put quotes around each of these, which indicates phrase match. So I'd have Nike, and then I'd potentially have different misspellings of Nike. Maybe a lot of people say Nike, they drop the I, right? We want to actually bid on those proper misspellings. Technically, phrase match can do this for us, but just generally speaking, having the most important keywords in here related to your brand are important. Another thing you should have in your branded terms, for example, with Nike is Air Jordan. This is an established secondary brand of Nike. Think about it like this. If Nike owns Air Jordan, then it is technically a branded term. It is technically a term that no one else should be bidding on and a term that we want to own. So if your brand has either secondary brands or trademarked or termed names associated to your brand, you could loop that all in to this ad group. Now, because AI Max is turned on, there's some settings you're going to need to tweak here. The first is search term matching. You're going to want to turn this off. This is a feature that expands your keywords to broad match. We don't want that to happen. For now, everything else here can be ignored because we set this up at the campaign level. And when it comes to your ads, I'm not going to take you through writing every single ad, but just note, you always want to include all 15 headlines, all 4 descriptions. You always want to include your business name, your business logo, and you definitely want to include your most important relevant site links. And now it's time for you to set a budget. This is a branded search campaign. The only thing you need to care about here is making sure you show up 95% of the time. Start this really low and work it up as you see your impression share get capped out. This should not overspend for any reason unless you've set up your keywords completely wrong. So what I like to do for most brands is just start this super low. It could be $30, it could be $200. It all depends on the size of the brand. And now that we've established our branded search campaign, the next campaign that we need to focus on is a performance max campaign. The performance max campaign is going to be a key driver to getting the top products in our business to spend the most amount of money. We're going to be creating 2 performance max campaigns. So again, your campaign objective is sales, your campaign type is performance max, and then make sure you select your correct merchant center account. And we're going to call this campaign PMAX_top 20%. This is going to represent the top 20% of our products that drive 80% of the sales in our business. Almost almost every business universally follows this Pareto principle. For our bidding, we're going to be running conversion value, and we're not setting a target return on ad spend to start, but you eventually do want to set that target return on ad spend. That could be anywhere from 30 days to 60 days down the road. Once you get a lot of conversions on this campaign, anywhere above 30, 40 conversions, you swap to a target return on ad spend. And in this case, we are going to be adjusting our bidding to acquire new customers, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom and click only bid for new customers. If you get this flag that I'm getting right here, this campaign will not run. To fix this campaign, you need to include an audience segment with at least 1,000 active members. Define existing customer list. All you have to do here is upload your customer list to Google, which you could define by literally clicking this button right here. Now, if you have less than 1,000 active members on a list, then go ahead and unselect this because it is not a function you can use yet, but keep it in the back of your mind because it is something you're going to want to use eventually. Our campaign settings are going to mirror our exact settings from our previous campaign. So we're going to be selecting United States, no to political ads. And then as we go down to our asset optimization, we prefer to have customization on, enhancements of images on, and enhancement of video on, which I know is very debatable for many people, but we have seen it work better. And then a very important setting in our brand exclusions, we are going to do the same thing, but opposite of what we did on our previous campaign. So instead of including the brand, we're going to be excluding our brand. And you can go ahead and select your brand right here and do not select allow shopping ads on the searches. We're then going to go down to more settings and allow all of this to stay the same. For asset generation, which is the next step, we can go ahead and skip this. We do not want AI assets here. We want to be creating our own assets and using the best of the best that we know works. For our asset groups, we're going to be calling this top 20%, and we're going to go to our listing groups, and instead of selecting all products here, we're going to select use a selection of products. Now, this part is going to be a pain for most people. If you have a lot of products, you need to go through your products, go into your Shopify store and understand what products actually drive the most amount of revenue for your business. It could be 5 products. It could be 50 products. Then one by one, you are going to select those products. So let's say in this case, these 5 products represented 80% of the revenue for my business. I would select these 5 products and click save. And we're only going to be targeting those 5 products in this campaign. For our actual asset creation, maximize your headlines, maximize your long headlines, maximize your descriptions, max out your images, and then do not include any videos unless you have ones that are very, very, very relevant for the specific asset group. And then finally, scrolling down to signals, include your search themes here. Max out your search themes. Put 50 different searches that could be relevant for your business. If you don't know what to put, hop onto ChatGPT and brainstorm with it to get a list of 50 relevant searches that someone may search to find your products. Within your audience signal, what you want to do is in your data section, you want to have a combination of your website visitors and your customer list. Think of this as just anyone who's been to your website, added to cart, anyone who's purchased from you before. You want all of that in the your data section. And then down here in the interest and detailed demographics, you want to have a combination of in-market and affinities. In markets are just going to be anything that you think is particularly relevant to your business. It could be just 1 or 2. In this case, we have about 8 or 9 that have proven out to work well. Affinities are going to be a similar piece. And then finally, if you want, you could add life events and detailed demographics as well. And finally, as you scroll down to the final part of demographics here, there's something very important you need to know. If you unselect any of these here, they're going to be completely removed from targeting. Okay, moving on to budget. Since this is our primary Performance Max campaign, this is the campaign that we expect to drive most of the revenue for the business, set this to the most comfortable high budget that you can. This is going to be the campaign that you like to scale the most. Now, this part's going to be really easy. We're going to take this same top 20% and we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to create the same exact thing, but a bottom 80%. Now, many people call this a zombie campaign. We can call it whatever we want. It's just about getting all of the other products on your site into a Performance Max campaign that does not include the top 20%. So just zooming through this part quickly, all of our settings, and I literally mean everything, is exactly the same. And then we're naming this campaign PMAX _ bottom 80%. Click continue, start new. We're bidding for conversion value. We're bidding on new customer acquisition only. And then in our campaign settings, making sure our locations are set properly. We're not running EU political ads. And then as we continue to go down to the most important part, which is asset group and listing groups, where we're going to actually select our products. Click again, use a selection of products, go to product or item IDs, select all of your products except for those previous products that you selected in the last setup. So in this case, it's going to be 95 products in this one versus the 5 from the other. We're going to go ahead and click save. So what this is essentially doing for us is now we have a performance max campaign that targets the most important products and another performance max campaign that serves as a catch-all just to cover our bases to make sure we're never missing out on important searches. And the last campaign we need is a branded shopping campaign. Now keep in mind, this is just the core setup. You can get really expansive beyond this, but I just like to start with these 4 campaigns. And the reason we need a branded shopping campaign, because if I go to type in a brand name such as Lululemon, I want to make sure I'm showing up in the first spot right here with the sponsored search ad, and I'm showing up in the sponsored products here. I don't want any of my competition to even consider showing up in these spots, completely taking up a huge portion of my screen. In fact, this portion of my screen is over 50% of the allowable space. Now, the big question is, how do we do this? How do we even create a branded shopping campaign? Because you can't technically include keywords in branded shopping. When we do this, we're going to click new campaign, just like before. We're going to click sales campaign, and then we're going to select a shopping campaign. Here, we're going to select our proper merchant center, and then we're going to change this to a standard shopping campaign. So start at a target ROAS and set that significantly higher than you would expect to convert. For example, if normally your non-brand converts at a 1.5 or 150% target ROAS, set this well beyond 300, 400, 500. What this is going to do is it's going to weed out all of the terms that are not connected to your brand, and it's going to specifically just target the terms that are most relevant to your brand and therefore the ones that you can convert the highest on. So we start this at a ridiculous 300 or 500 or 800 target return on ad spend. So we set our daily budget up here actually quite low because it's supposed to be focused on branded terms, which are not just flying in. There's not an unlimited supply of branded terms. We're going to set this to just something like $30 to start. For our customer acquisition, we are going to bid equally to acquire new and existing customers because we want anyone who searches for our brand name to be shown up here. Moving into our campaign settings, just about everything remains the same as our previous setups here. Things start to get a little different as we go into our ad group. Now, this ad group is going to be branded, and we're going to focus on the products that are the priority to you. So these are the products that you want your brand to show up for. Now, there's 2 approaches here. Either A, use everything, no problem. Or B, use the products that you believe best represent your brand. In this case, I'm just going to go with all products, but truly do what you think is best for your brand. Now, the setup of this is actually really simple, and it's not what happens in this setup, but it's what happens right after. So let me show you exactly how this works. Now, I know you can't see the exact search terms here, but you can see that boatloads of these search terms are excluded. What winds up happening in this campaign is it first starts by just getting all the keywords that it could possibly imagine. It overspends on things that don't matter. So there is going to be a learning curve to this campaign. What happens is all of these terms that you can't see right now that are excluded are non-branded terms. For example, if I was Nike, this would be running shoes, this would be red shoes, this would be green shoes, and so on. And what we do from this point is we click every single one of these non-branded terms and we select to add these as a negative keyword. Now, unfortunately, what happens is this keyword list becomes massive. You can see right down here, 29,261 keywords that are not connected or associated to my brand. So what we have to do is download this entire list, download it as a Google Sheet, and then create a non-brand exclusion list. And how we do that is we go into Tools, Shared Library, Exclusions List, and you can see I have one right here with 19,000 keywords excluded. All you need to do is click the plus button here and drop in all of your keywords. Once you do that, and once you drop in those keywords, you could select the list and click Apply to Campaigns, and then of course select the campaign that you want to exclude it to, which would be obviously the branded shopping campaign. And a little pro tip, you could also technically put this on the branded search campaigns that you have as well. And the very last thing I should mention about this campaign is that you want to filter your search terms. So click add a filter, type in search term, and then write in all of the ways that your brand could be spelt. You could technically just do some shorthand versions of things. And what I've done here is I have about 5 or 6 terms that are very key for us. These are terms that show up all the time in our branded searches. And what this does is I click do not contain. So it's just showing me all the non-branded searches. Then what I like to do is click contains so I could see actually all of my branded searches. And what you're going to notice right here is on the right hand side, I have a boatload of conversions, a ton of value coming in from this. So we're seeing that this ad group with the branded terms is converting very well for us. So this system right here does two things. First, it allows Google to be a growth engine on its own with a non-brand performance max campaigns. And second, it allows Google to capture all relevant searches that are potentially being driven from Meta but not being converted at the final step. This is why the setup is so helpful post Andromeda and really just becomes a holistic strategy that allows you to have two growth levers in your business instead of relying on one platform. So I truly hope this video right here helps a ton. And if you didn't notice, this is a brand new channel. You may have seen me on my Facebook channel, but this channel right here is brand new. So if you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button, it truly does mean a whole lot as we look to build this one from zero. Best of luck in the fourth quarter, and I'll see you in the next one.